I'm pissed! I bought this nice Pugue windscreen for my Kawasaki Versys X300. It all seems good, right? I'm pretty happy with it. It seems well made. It clears the bark busters that I have on the bar, which is nice. It, you know, it feels solid. It came with adequate hardware. You know, it gets the job done. It's larger than the stock one. I've used it. I've been riding with this thing now for a couple of days. I've put probably about 200 miles so far with this windscreen. It definitely helps out with the wind. You know, I'm a short rider, and the wind, it doesn't feel like it's taking me out. It's definitely a step up, you know, so far all good. However, there's one glaring issue with this windscreen. Can you see what it is? It's the glare. That's without a light on it. Let me put a light on it. You see that? See that? You can see the gas tank. Well, you don't notice that until you get out and ride it in the sunlight. So here's my problem. Here's what's pissing me off. You cannot return this once it's been installed. How are you supposed to know there's going to be a massive glare right where you look until you've installed it? Well, the good news is I think there's a solution. So when I first noticed this, I was riding. I had just started a long drive, and I was just kind of seeing, you know, I wasn't sure what to expect yet. It seems like the top of this is right in my field of vision, so I can sit up straight a little bit and kind of see over that, but then kind of, you know, in turns and hills and stuff, my eyes keep switching from up and down, and that, I don't know, it was kind of messing with my vision. And so, but whenever you lean down to where you can see through the screen, the glare just kept moving where the glare was at. And your eyes go from trying to focus on what's in front to seeing this, and it gives you a headache just about. So what I did initially was I had a magnetic tank bag, and I just slid it forward. You can see my fingers right there in the reflection. I slid it forward so it covered the tank. Okay, so that takes care of most of the problem, but look, you can still see, you see that ring? That ring is my keychain, and it depends on where the sun's at, because today I took it out thinking, okay, no big deal, I can just cover that. I'll get some magnets and fabric or something like that and cover the gas tank. Well, guess what? Look at that. So you see that? Well, look at that. Look at all that glare. And I can tell you, the sun is a lot brighter than this LED. So when the sun hits it just right down in this crevice, all that reflects and throws up on the windscreen. Not only that, but these bolts, I can see those bolts on the windscreen. Can you see that? The biggest issue I noticed today when riding this thing were the bolt heads, the keychain, and this lip on the front of the gas tank. Well, of course, this ring too. I had my tank bag covering up this ring, but I still want this windscreen to work for me. So I'm going to try to do some things to hide the glare and see how much of a difference it makes. So what I'm going to first do is, it looks like this gas tank, I don't know, I need to try it, but there's some bolts here, and that looks like it takes this beauty ring off. Take that beauty ring off and Plasti-Dip it. So if you're not familiar with Plasti-Dip, it goes on like spray paint, and then when it's done, it's kind of like a rubberized compound that can then peel off. So the advantage of Plasti-Dip is, if I do this and I either hate the way it looks or it turns out not being functional, I can just peel it off and return it back to factory specs. I'm also going to attempt to take my whole gas tank off and just Plasti-Dip this whole front section. I think it'll look okay, because the Plasti-Dip usually kind of ends up matte black, and the rest of this thing is pretty matte black. So I actually think it would flow pretty well if I were to kind of Plasti-Dip, you know, maybe this whole ring. I don't know. I'll have to kind of see what I end up doing. But basically, I just want to matte black all this front stuff. And then lastly, the key ring. I'm going to remove it. That's all I'm going to do, and we'll see how much of a difference that makes on the glare. So here's the bike with the tank pulled off. So I basically removed the two side panels, which is two Allen bolts, and then a bunch of rubber grommet piece things that you pull off on the left and right side. I had to pull this bolt out and that bolt out. Then back here on this side, you've got this little thing that sticks in the side of the tank. Just pull that off and use a screwdriver to pop it out. Then this part was a little more difficult. I basically just kind of worked the tank up, slid it back, and then held it up, and then kind of felt under here. This is the fuel injector connector. Push up on the piece and it just slides out. It took me like forever of staring at this thing to figure out that's how it went. So it clips in, this pushes up, and then it slides out. And then this I actually got with my fingers too. I just stuck both. So I had one finger on the bottom, one finger on the top. I just kind of pulled them, split them apart, and slid this back, and then this just slides out, straight out. I was expecting fuel to spray, that's why I'm wearing these gloves, but it didn't, it just kind of dripped down. Here's the Plasti-Dip, the first coat recently applied. You know, watch a video out there on how to do Plasti-Dip. I don't want to repeat that, but that's the first coat. I'm probably going to do, I don't know, 3 or 4 coats, how many ever it takes to look good. You apply one, wait 30 minutes, and apply the next. And it kind of, you know, it looks wet and thick and bally. Don't apply it real thick on there though. And then as it cures, it kind of fills in all those gaps. You can see I did a pretty good job on the top and bottom, but I missed a spot in the middle. Don't worry about that because you're gonna do subsequent coats and you can go back and fix all of that. And then the same thing with the little fuel ring. I went ahead and sprayed that with one coat. So spray, you know, do different angles whenever you spray multiple coats. So I'm gonna spray that one this direction. Next time I'll spray it this direction. Same thing here. I did it like this, so maybe I'll do it this way or this way or this way or this way. Just mix it up. Mix up the directions that you're doing so that way you get even coverage going all different directions. This is after 4 coats of Plasti-Dip. It's got a very nice matte look to it, very smooth. Here it is, the Plasti-Dip with the tape peeled off. I think it looks excellent, so we'll see how that holds up. So here we are, it's all done and it's put back together. I Plasti-Dipped the ring and the front of the tank. I was real careful not to scratch anything because this stuff, if you scratch it, it just kind of starts to peel. I don't know how long it's going to last. You know, if I had to do this again, I probably would have taken this all the way down so that way there wouldn't be an edge that's visible. You know, that seems like something that could be caught and start to peel up on both sides. Probably what I should have done was put the tape on this before removing the tank so I kind of would know instead of taking the tank off and then just assuming I would remember. But I mean, I think it looks good. That matte black. Oh, I also Plasti-Dipped these 4 bolts, just the top, just the heads of them. And then when I was putting them back in, I got them finger tight. I give them plenty of time to cure because you don't want to peel it off. Finger tight, and then I put a paper towel, like a shop rag here, and then made sure to slide my wrench in between the paper towel. That way it had some kind of cushion and I wasn't going metal on metal. You know, if you look real closely, you can kind of see the corners where some paper towel residue's at. I think that'll kind of come off over time, but it doesn't look like I tore them at all, so they should be good. And the last thing I've noticed is I still have a little bit of glare from my button that I added here that's off-road. I'm going to try to deal with that later, but I noticed if I get real low, like, so this is a point probably about there where I'm really hunched, okay? I'm really looking for some glare, and I do see a little bit up there coming from the back side of this tank here that I didn't Plasti-Dip. But even me hunched just kind of normal, like a pretty decent amount of hunch is right here. I don't see any glare on the screen with the light. So I got the light up here right now. I don't see any glare. I have to hunch quite a bit to actually start to see some up there. But sitting upright or leaning forward, I don't notice any glare. I did say I saw a little bit from this button in some of the, you know, if I looked real closely I could find it. But it's significantly better, it looks like. I'm going to have to just take this thing out and try it and see when it's really bright and sunny outside and see if I resolve the issue.